Welcome back, gang. It was good, wasn't it? So this morning we've heard, just to recap what we've done, we've heard about the general picture of what's going on in TA with families, particularly in England at the moment. We have looked at what is possible in Parliament with lobbying, and then we've heard from the amazing Agatha, who told us about her experience of living in TA over the last 8 years. And we think we found your next MP, Andy.
Oh yeah, where's?
Yeah, so
right.
I think she's definitely one for the future.
There might be some vacancies with this betting scandal, so let's get you going now.
So I'm so glad that Andy has come to join us today. He was literally just saying goodbye to the mayor of Osaka or somewhere. So
the only reason I'm in a suit, I never wear it. Anyway, I've had to sort of, but yeah.
So do you want to sit, stand? What do you want to do?
What shall I do? I'll just stand over there, Laura, and say a few words, and then I'll come and sit down and
that's fine.
do the questions with you.
That's fine.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for coming.
No
Andy
worries.
has been a real supporter of finding out what's going on with homelessness for kids. He's been curious, he's come to see us at the crib, he's quietly just looked at it, and I've got huge respect for that. So I'm really grateful for your time. I know you're busy, it's not like we have an election coming on or anything. It's not like you've got 100 other things to do, so we do really appreciate your time. But do you want to share a few thoughts you have?
Yeah, I will, Laura. And the reason I'm here is that, we believe in you. We believe in the Shared Health Foundation and all of you in terms of what you are doing. And I think we want to put it much more at the heart of everything that we do. Big changes are needed, aren't there? Big changes. And I know Joanna from the City Council here, we're working together on this. We're going to be, whoever this new government is, will be, presenting to them the change that we think we need to see. And if I could just talk really quickly and briefly about that before coming into your any questions that you might have. The first thing is we need a proper solution to the housing crisis, and we need to show what will be done this mayoral term, this Parliament, to get to a position where we're sorting it out. I made a commitment to build 10,000 homes for social rent in this mayoral term, and we want them straight away what we're doing, where and when, get that pipeline done so that we can get those homes into our boroughs, and we're committing to at least 1,000 in every borough. I mean, the City Council are already on, we're building a lot, and I'm sure Joanna can say more about that than me, but we want to get to a position where, when we're looking at, I hope I've got these figures right, 5,000 families in temporary accommodation in Greater Manchester, 6,500 kids. You've got to start coming up with a proper solution. And so, you may have seen, prioritise these issues straight out of the mayoral election. I've started to raise stuff that you just don't hear in the election campaign, and Westminster politicians don't like talking about, but reform to right to buy. You can't get there without it. There's just no point saying otherwise. And truthfully, the housing crisis is getting worse every year because we're still in a net loss position. More are going out and being sold than are being built. It's ridiculous. Until you stop that, you're getting worse every year. And obviously councils can't really use public money in the way that they should to build council homes, because that can evaporate in a couple of years' time if that home gets sold. So you have to reform it. And we're saying that to them, alongside just a whole host of other changes. I have asked the new chief executive of the Greater Manchester Combined Authority. It's actually now the Greater Manchester Group. We've kind of made a change really with the way we're working. She started yesterday, Caroline Simpson, former chief exec of Stockport. I've asked her to create a GM Housing First unit in the Greater Manchester Combined Authority. And the idea of that is to create a powerful multi-agency team at the heart of our system to act on supply of homes, standards, and we're bringing through our Good Landlord Charter soon, and supported housing, the pure housing first model, but other forms as well. So housing has moved centre stage for us, and it is, Laura, a lot of the work that you've been doing around temporary accommodation. We I mean, I know the City Council have actually made moves on bed and breakfast and other things, but we have to, as a city region, set a mission to remove all to not have any not have any child in temporary accommodation within a quicker time frame as we possibly can. And I think that should be within in this mayoral term is what I would hope that would be. Set a really clear mission, hopefully agree it with the incoming government, and then we get on and deliver it. Because to be honest, it's actually wasteful on every level, isn't it? It's damaging of people's life chances, but it's actually, wasteful in terms of it's not the best use of public funds either, and it's just bad on every level. And the only thing that changes it is that supply of housing. The other thing I just wanted to talk about is a couple of quick things. There's the question about reforming the health service in Greater Manchester and the benefit system, because if you look at families, homeless families, obviously they get hit by both of those things as well. So the DWP, and I'm not aiming this at any individual who works for them who's in this room. I'm aiming it more at the system that we've got. To be honest, it drives a lot of the challenge that families have. The way I describe it is, when people go in the door of Job Centre Plus, when they come back out, they feel worse about themselves than they did before they went in. And if you have a system like that, it is true, isn't it? And you've got to say it as it is now, haven't you? If you have a system like that, how is that a good use of public money? What's the point in having a system that's set up to trip people up rather than set up to actually help them out? A system that actually makes them feel positive about themselves, gives them the actual support they're asking for to move forward. So I've made a big pitch for devolved control of large elements of the DWP budget. And we think that's a big part of the solution, actually, to create different support systems for people. Alongside, and Laura, this is the territory that you very much, you're at the sharp end of all of this, alongside reforming general practice so that we create different ways of providing social support to families via what you might call social prescribing, but also using the DWP budget differently to put in personalised, localised support for the families who are at risk of homelessness. And you have a system that actually prevents that and doesn't let it happen, that sees it as a never event. Family homelessness should be a never event. It never should happen, should it? That only bad things can come from a child being sort of wrenched out of the community that they're in and placed in another one that they don't know. There's no good thing that comes from that. You should have a system that actively works every day at every level to prevent it. So I'll finish there, but I hope you'll see, by creating this GM Housing First unit, that is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to embed this philosophy at the heart of the Greater Manchester system. The Housing First is actually more a philosophy than a project. I went to Finland thinking I was going to see a project, and I came away realising that they have a national philosophy. Basically, housing first. Think about housing before you worry about health or education, because if you don't sort housing, you can't give kids a good education. As I said before, you can't have good health if your housing situation is not sorted. And I think in this country we need a very big shift of mindset about housing. For far too long, since the 1980s, and I'm afraid carried on by all governments, housing has been seen as a commodity to buy and sell. Something that some people are lucky to have and others don't. Well, to the extent we'll do something, we'll try and create more policies to help more people to own their own homes. It's because it's a market, and that's, well, no, I don't think we should see it like that. Housing should be a service that everyone gets, like a universal service. And that's why I personally believe we need a law that will create this sea change in thinking about housing. I would call it a Grenfell law, that is about saying a good, safe home should be a human right in UK law. You start there, and then all public policy, from the health service, from DWP, from my organisation, from local councils, everyone should be working every day to enact that legal duty within the geographical area where we live. And if you did that, you'd save money in the benefit system, you'd save money in the health service, you'd have better educational outputs, housing first has got to be the way to go. And that's what I'm preaching, if you like, to the extent that they listen to me, to the incoming government. So I don't know. It's been hard to be hopeful, isn't it, in recent times? But I think what we're getting towards in GM is actually some clear thinking, helped by you all, by the way. You know, you've all helped shape us and nudge us in the right way. I started just with rough sleeping, as you know, and that opened up a whole world of issues that I now can see much more clearly. So we now know, I think we have a clear take on it. Housing first as a GM philosophy, a GM principle, working with all of our 10 councils. We might be able to do something here. I don't know, but it's worth a go, isn't it? Okay.
Thank you. So I have to say, it is remarkable to hear, that thought of having housing entrenched in law. Before you came, Sam did us a quiz show that was called Badger or Baby, and it was which bits of legislation apply to badgers and which bits apply to babies. And badgers, you can't rehome them if they're pregnant, and you can't rehome them if they haven't got enough food, and you can't rehome them. And so Sam was putting across then that, how do we change this legislation? Actually, I think going really high, that fundamental right, and then seeing what falls out of that is really brilliant.
The only way to go.
Thank you. And it's complicated, isn't it? And it's complex, but having that clear thinking, we need houses, we need social houses, we need good housing. Good housing in the city region will promote economic growth, educational attainment, reduce antisocial behaviour, save our benefits system money. It's a no-brainer, isn't it? The logistics of doing it's tricky, but isn't it amazing to have somebody like Andy Burnham, who, let's be honest, has had experience of government, possibly could be very useful to the next government, whatever colour they are, I'm not saying anything, but having that voice at that level, isn't that incredible for us as a city region and hopefully for our country? So thank you. We've got some questions for you, is that all right?
Sure.
We've got 3 questions from families who are currently living in TA in Greater Manchester, and some cute kids.
Dear Andy Burnham, my only question is why if the families like us, and there are many more, who have to wait about 12, 13 months or even more to get the proper, the housing option, rather than staying in the hotel in a temporary accommodation, which is very difficult for the people. So that's the only question I want to ask you. Thank you.
So this is a family who's currently living in hotel accommodation. The baby was born into hotel accommodation, and they think that they've been told they might be there for about 12 months. So obviously, you've talked about this a little bit. But
I can say something more, actually. That it'd be interesting just to see what people in the room think. But here's another devolution ask that we're developing, and that is to take control of home office accommodation, that side of things as well. It's the Compass contracts, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think I've got that right. I mean, Joanna, they cause us no end of grief, don't they? In terms of just doing things without telling anybody. As you know, just going to the cheapest, private rented with no sense of standards at all or requirements. But worst, they're actually then bidding in the bidding war with councils, so they're almost like, upping the price. And it's really, really clear to me that we need to put an early pitch in, because they're about to be re-signed for a 3 or 4 year period, I think. I've already talked to Sue Gray about this. We should have that control, or when I say we, our councils should, of all the accommodation in their area. Then they would have all of the need, be it via the asylum system or obviously homelessness, statutory homelessness, whatever, and then they would manage that
and then
themselves.
You can join it all up.
Join it all up.
You go back. We talked this morning about the home office system and the housing system connecting better. So that is, I think you've got full support for that.
No use of hotels. That's it. There shouldn't be a need to do that. That is a product of chaotic management from a national level, where they're just not connected to the local area. So, again, it's an area where we're getting some encouragement, but so everyone knows what I'm actually doing. Just to, we mentioned the election, well, let's just be blunt about it. I am getting letters ready to go to every single person who is a cabinet minister on the 5th of July, and we are setting out all of this stuff, and in the Home Secretary's letter, that will be, I can promise you,
They're ready to go.
that will be near the top. So there's been a new commission on integration of refugees. I don't know if you've seen it, and they were here in Manchester just about 2 weeks ago. Mayor Paul Dennett and I kind of spoke at their event. The recommendations that they're making are very much in this space, so it's not just us saying it, there's a lot of people saying it. So there's, I don't know, a chance here, but when that government comes in, that is what we'll be saying to them. It will be a disaster to sign those contracts again. So hopefully
there's an opportunity, isn't it?
There's an opportunity.
Yeah.
How quickly we could help a family in the position on this is obviously.
So we've got 2 more questions. I know you have to go bob on because you're a very busy man. So this is a lovely family from Oldham.
Dear Andy Burnhams, I am 14 and I am in year 9. I was moving through hotels and homes because they didn't want to keep us in one place. Every time we moved, the people didn't want to clean, or when we were in the kitchen, everything was just messy and nothing was there. So we moved through 5 different homes and hotels. And why did it take so long for us to find a home?
And I think we'll play the next question as well because I think they're connected, and then we'll let you.
Dear Andy Burnham, my name is Elizabeth and I'm 7 years old and I'm in year 3. My mum has been living in this country for 15 years now. My mum was in the asylum system for 7 years. And last year we just got told we can stay in this country, but we're living in a homeless accommodation. I have to wake up very early and take 2 buses to school every day and walk 15 minutes to school, and we're always late. And I'm always exhausted and I'm tired, and every day when I get home, instead of doing my homework, since I'm so exhausted, I just go and take a nap. Dear Andy Burnham, what are you going to do about my problem and all the other children's problems who's living with me in my homeless accommodation?
Oh my God. She shouldn't even know my name, age 7, should she? The fact she does have to know. Oh, that's brilliant though, isn't it? But that kind of says much more eloquently than I could what I was saying before about it just shouldn't happen, should it? Because the impact on that causes stuff that probably lasts a lifetime, doesn't it? If you're in that position.
And one of the things we want to do is work with all the councils in Manchester and beyond to mitigate. So none of us are saying that this can be fixed next week. I'd love it to be fixed next week, but seeing that drive down of the numbers and watching that target is really important. But for the kids who are currently in temporary accommodation, making sure that they have got cots, that they go to school, that they've got free school meals, all the things that are logistically challenging, particularly across councils, is something that we can fix probably quicker than building houses. So.
Definitely. And actually, this is the thing, isn't it? The speed with which that stuff I'll come back to, Laura, but the speed of building the houses, actually, it gets people out of a situation like that. But then the council saves money, Joanna, doesn't it? Because it doesn't have so this is just the right thing to do, and we've got to persuade them to get on and do it. It's good news that Angela Rayner is going to set up an ending homelessness unit in the Cabinet Office. I think that should give you all some encouragement. If Labour wins, to have a GMMP leading an ending homelessness unit. Imagine that. Gives every single person in this room agency, I would suggest, because we know what's needed, don't we? It's not like something you've got to go, oh God, what do we do? And what's the policy? We know the policies, don't we? We know the asks. We just got to make them and say, look, and you could change, I didn't catch her name, what was it? Elizabeth. You could change Elizabeth's life this year, couldn't you? If you got on with it. Yeah. If you actually did something now.
That's my daughter.
Is it your daughter? Oh my God, she's absolutely beautiful. And she's going to go far anyway. I know that. So, with all respect, I think she might be an MP before you. Or mayor. I think she's destined for for
So
them.
I know you need to go. I want to say thank you for coming. I think to see you engage with homelessness on a bigger scale than just what is people sleeping outside Piccadilly, which is awful and terrible, and we need to address properly and continue to work on. But I'm really, it's encouraging if they set up a reducing ending homelessness unit in the Cabinet Office. It has to include families.
Oh, it
can't
will.
just be street homelessness. It has to include action that will build those houses, that will reduce the problem. It has to tackle, as you say, the right to buy. It has to tackle rent evictions. It needs to tackle unscrupulous landlords. It's there's an awful lot of stuff that can be done. And in the meantime, we need to mitigate the effects on kids. Housing, food, education, healthcare, play.
Yeah.
And I hear quite a lot of politicians, not you, but talk about, children are the future, like a Eurovision song. And it's true they are, but they are also children for being children. And there's something about childhood that's incredibly special. It's foundational. And we want to see children thriving now, just because they're kids, not because they're going to pay tax when they're 20.
Yeah.
I want Elizabeth to have a brilliant life now. Agatha has got a dream. Agatha's dream, apart from being an MP, is to take Elizabeth to Blackpool, because she's not allowed to take her overnight out of Blackpool, because then she loses her accommodation she's in, so they have to be there every night. And even being able to say to kids who are in GM at the moment, you can go and visit the Blackpool beach. That is transformational, isn't it? So I want to thank you so much.
No problem.
Genuinely. Maybe we'll all go to Blackpool.
We should. We'll make that happen at some point soon. Laura will let me know, but when the circumstance
we'll send you a picture from Blackpool.
we will make that
I've got some
happen.
shorts.
Yeah. Well, thank you to you all. Honestly, we appreciate everything that you've done, and I absolutely would say, from my perspective, having got to know you, Laura, and got to know the brilliant work that your team do at the Shared Health Foundation, you have changed the debate. We wouldn't be talking in the way that we are now were it not for the work that you've all done. Obviously, got Joe at the back of the room who leads on homelessness for us. It's true, isn't it? We have become more and more, if you like, comprehensive in our understanding of the scale of the issue, and we're ready, really. I guess we're ready to make change happen. But one last thought is, this idea of a Grenfell law, that is actually the change we need. I think you've got to get to a sort of, if we're always in the world of random interventions here, random there, and then the government changes and it all goes backwards and the homelessness increases. That's the problem. We shouldn't be in that type of position. You need a fundamental new national consensus about a good, safe home for everybody. That's because then you have a good society. You have the possibility of a good, strong society. Without it, you don't. And I think we just need to win that argument. And so I might be knocking on your door later this year to sort of, start to sort of take that campaign national. We did it with the legal system and the Hillsborough law, and that one is coming through now. Yeah. But Grenfell we haven't responded properly to Grenfell yet, and it needs a comprehensive response. The public inquiry comes later this year, and obviously at that point we'll think of the little boy in Rochdale who lost his life because of the quality of his home. We need housing justice in this country, don't we? That's what we need. And then if you have that, you've got the chance of, a much better society than we have today. So
we started off today by saying that we are incredibly hopeful people. And I am genuinely hopeful. I'm hopeful because the election is coming. We don't know the result, but there is an opportunity for whatever government, likely to be Labour looking at the polls. Labour could put in the building blocks that protect not just for now, but for the next decade. And the opportunity, if there is a big majority, should not be squandered. It should not be squandered. And we will be here to champion and support, probably moan a bit, but also deeply encourage our politicians to be brave, courageous, clear-sighted, and blinking persistent, which you are. So thank you.
No worries. Thanks, everybody.